Hello everyone and welcome to my presentation. My presentation will mainly talk about languages. We'll talk about languages, origins of languages, the effect of languages on other languages and how they develop, and lastly, the beauty of a language. So before I start my presentation, I want to make something important, that everything in here will not necessarily reflect my religious beliefs or any other belief. What I'm giving here is some opinions that I have got from the internet based on my research. So let's start with what is a language. So if I ask anyone right here, what is your definition for a language? Anyone has any answer? Yes, you? That's a good definition. Anyone else? You? What we're talking about. So everyone could give a definition for a language, and it could be right and it couldn't be wrong, as long as you know a slight information about a language. So here is a couple of definitions for a language. You see, language is a system of conversational spoken manual, signed or written symbols by means of which human beings, as members of a social group and participants in its culture, express themselves. However, some dictionary may give you another definitions, like Collins Dictionary or even Oxford Dictionary. A language is a system of communication which consists a set of sounds and written symbols which are used by the people of the particular country or region for talking or writing. All the system of communicate, you can read them. So the main idea here is that a language is a system of communication used by specific people lived in a specific area. However, other people have other definitions for a language. People like Henry Sweet, a British linguist, he once said, language is an expression of ideas by means of a speech, sounds combined into words. Words are combined into sentences. This combination answering to that of ideas into thoughts. However, we have, I'm sorry, I'm giving a lot of definitions right here because there's a lot. Other two linguists, American linguists like Bernard Bloch and George L. Trager, or maybe Trager, I don't know, they rewrote the definition, and this is the most definition that I agree with. A language is a system of arbitrary vocal symbols by means of which a social group cooperates. However, all these definitions...
What is the meaning of arbitrary?
Arbitrary in Arabic?
Yes, in Arabic.
In Arabic, it could be ashwa'i or something like that. So here it makes us wonder, what is the origin of a language? You know, based on this definition, that's a couple of sounds that mean something. I mean, it shouldn't make any sense, right? Something like languages should not work, yet we use it in our daily life. But before I go to the origin of a language, let me show you something. Let me show you a couple of Arabic words and Hebrew words. Words like Yom, Shems, and Salam. In Hebrew, they'll be Yom, Shems, and Shalom. Why do you think such similarity exists between two languages? Anyone has any answer? No? All right. So it's believed that there were a main language called a Proto-Semitic language, from which we have different languages that have, let's say, born throughout the time. You can see here that Arabic and Hebrew are relatives, or in other term, sisters. Because of that, they may have similar words, because in the main language, these words existed, and so they have taken it or maybe changed a little bit to give us a new language. This process takes a lot of time, and it's pretty complex. We will get to it later. However, these three are a theory, and I'll explain more with the next three. As you can see here, this is an Indo-European and Uralic family tree. Foreign language. Don't ask him, what language do you speak? No. Ask him, لغتك من يا عمام. So you can tell. Ask him, what tribe does your language belong to? So I can tell. Does it Italic Romanesque? Does it West Germanic? So I can know. Anyway, such a thing, such family tree existed so we can explain where languages come from. There's a theory that says there is a Proto language. Just a minute, please. There were a Proto language from which other languages have born, as we said before. And this such thing as made by linguists trying to show the relation between languages because they have similar words, they have similar vocals. They're trying to explain it. Why? How does it exist? When did it started? Yes, you. What did you want?
When you talk about the Alpha language, which is a hard language to learn and to speak.
This is a very good question. Some people may think that the Arabic language is the hardest language to learn. However, hardest languages to learn is the language of the people who are, let's say, not in touch with the outside world. People who have lived alone. Their language is like a monster to the learners because you don't know anything. You don't know what the words mean. You don't know the verbs. You don't know how to make a proper sentence. And they also don't know how to communicate with you. So otherwise, how would you learn the language?
Important things you may to have a conversation with us to improve your English, better to improve your language.
Let me jump in. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
So there is no difficult language, Muhammad, and there is no easy language. All languages are important for the users, okay? And it's a personal thing. Something easy for you, what's easy for you, it might be difficult for me. So the question you ask is not specific, okay? There is no easy or difficult language. There is no important language and less important language. All languages are important because they're used as a means of communication. Thank you very much for your question. All right, great. Yes, go ahead.
And so, as I said before, such a thing exists because they try to explain where did languages come from. They seem pretty relatable. They seem to have sort of relation between them. So such a thing exists for that reason. However, there is an experiment that's once tried to tell us where did languages come from. It's called the forbidden experiment or language deprivation experiment. It's called forbidden because the main idea of the experiment is to take newborn babies, take them from their mothers, put them in care with a mute mother. She do not say any words at all. And so they wait for the baby. What language would he speak? So they could know how did languages started. Throughout history, we have 4 times that is documented. All right. The first one is in olden Egypt by the Pharaoh Psamtik the first, and it was documented by Herodotus. He tried this experiment to prove that the Egyptian language was the oldest. However, babies turned to say the Phrygian word bikos, which means bread. This is an old language in modern day Turkey. Another attempt for this experiment was in the Holy Roman Empire by the Emperor Frederick II and was documented by monk Salim bin di Adam. You see, he gave children to mute nurses. They took care of them. They washed them, they gave them food, but they didn't communicate with them at all. No hugs, no love, no care. Due to that, the babies had died. And so, he didn't know what is the origin of the language. The third attempt was in Scotland by the King James I. He took some babies to the island of, I don't know the name, to be honest. I can't pronounce it. It's a very hard name. So he took the babies and just threw them there with, of course, some care. The babies turned around to speak fluent Hebrew. Don't ask me how they spoke fluent Hebrew. Maybe because they thought throughout this experiment they would know the original language of Adam and Eve. So it may be related with the religion. Consider Judaism as the oldest Abrahamic religion. And the fourth attempt is in the Mughal Empire, which is here located, if you are curious, by the Emperor Akbar. Akbar said that he has kids who were raised by a mute mother. And the result for his experiment was that raising a children by a mute mother will erase language from their brain. So they couldn't talk any language even after they grow up. However, all these four experiments are doubted throughout history. None of them are real. We don't know rather if they're real or not, especially this one. This one is a big cap. Don't believe it. There's no kids born speaking Hebrew. All right? And so it was a failed attempt. Here is a couple of theories of the origin of a language. Of course, linguists didn't stop here. They put a bunch of theories that have relation with revolution, others with not revolution, but other stuff. So here's a couple of theories by Max Muller and George Romanes. I think we have skipped. Yes, we have skipped this. The quantity theories and quantity theories. Let's just go throughout them really quick. The quantity theory is built on the idea that languages exhibit so much complexity that one cannot imagine it simply appearing from nothing. In its final form, therefore, it must have evolved from earlier pre-linguist system among humans' primate ancestors. And this quantity theory is completely the opposite. Its approach that languages as a unique trait which cannot be compared to anything found among non-humans must have appeared fairly suddenly during the course of a human evolution. Once again, that does not mean that I believe in that. And so we will go to the theories made by this, who is a biologist, by the way, and this is a linguist. He's a German linguist. I'm not going to explain the theories. I'm just going to say the names because they are pretty funny names, all right? If you are interested, go Google them up when you go home. There are a lot, quite a lot. The mama theory, the tata theory, the boo-boo theory, the boo-boo theory, the ding-dong theory, the you-hoo-hoo theory, the sing-song theory, the hey-you theory, and lastly, this one, I can't read it, but there is another one, don't get bored, the Ernick theory. All these theories and much more have tried to explain the origin of languages, or how did they exist in our world. Muslim scholars during the medievals even had their own theories. There are 5. The naturalist, there is a natural relation between expression and the thing they signify, language, thus emerged from a natural human inclination to imitate the sounds of nature. And the second one is the conventionalist. Language is a social convention. The names of things are arbitrary inventions of humans. Other is the revelationist. The revelationist, yes. Language was gifted to humans by God, and it was thus God and not the humans who named everything. And we will come to that later on. Other one is revolutionist, conventionalist. God revealed to humans a core base of a language, enabling a human to communicate with each other and learn human. And then humans invented the rest of language, or at least developed it. And non-committal, the view that conventionalist and revelationist theories are equally plausible. So you see here, sorry, I do apologize for that. So you see here, this is a bunch of Muslim theories. We're going throughout atheist theories and Muslim theories. And I didn't get a good answer. So I tried to search throughout religion so I could maybe get an answer. I have searched in Christianity. And as we can see in Genesis 11, 1 to 9, phrase 1, now the whole world had one language and common speech. Phrase 7, come let us go down and confuse their language so they will not understand each other. Now you may be confused, and I don't blame you because I have cut it, most of it. Long story short is that people, once upon a time, of course that's what the Bible say, were speaking one language, one single language. And so they tried to build a tower that reached up to the heavens. And they tried to build it in the city of Babylon. So when God knew about that, He went down and confused their languages so they will not understand each other and fail to build the tower. And so we could say they have started babbling. And this is where the name of Babylon has started. Another one is that the ayah in the Quran, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وعلم آدم الأسماء كلها ثم عرضهم على الملائكة فقال أنبئوني بأسماء هؤلاء إن كنتم صادقين صدق الله العلي العظيم. You see, this phrase is not agreed by Muslim scholars, rather Shia nor Sunni. Everyone has his own explanation. However, one of them says that this phrase means that God taught Adam all the languages, peace be upon him, of course. And Adam have taught his sons after him, and his sons to their sons, and so on. And this is how languages existed. It's a gift from God. Yet other scholars disagree, so I would not get into that. So until now, we don't have a clear answer to where did languages come from. I guess it will remain a mystery until someone reveal it to us, or at least give us a clear answer. Until here, anyone has any questions? Yes? Sorry, I can't hear. Could you please speak up?
How the language called the mother or the second language, and when they called them. Have you idea about them?
So I mean, how did language develop from one language, right? We'll come to that later, all right? I promise. You see, and here is the part, by the way. Oh, thank you. Look at this map. You see, this is the modern day language map. The world didn't used to be like that, and language didn't used to be like that. Languages evolved throughout time, and they evolved throughout many different ways. You see, sometimes languages borrow words from each other. For example, Western society didn't know what the word coffee, didn't know what coffee is. They didn't know coffee. Why would they have a word for it? And so when the Arabs merchant went to the West and showed them coffee, they tell them the word qahwa. Of course, they wouldn't have the same words in their language, and so it had turned to the word coffee. Of course, such a thing is not easy as that and take a lot of time. But this is at least trying to explain how languages affect each other. And another example for that, you see tomato. Tomato is mainly here. It don't exist anywhere here. So when Europeans occupied the Americans and they have brought tomato with them to the old world, and they have showed it to the Arabs didn't know what tomato is. It's the first time they see it. And so they heard them. It's tomato? All right, bro. We'll call it tomato. Don't worry about it. You see, another example of language development is that sometimes language itself give us another languages throughout time. People, when they live alone by themselves, a single city that don't get a lot of visitors, they start to speak the language in a bit different way than the original one. And so the other cities, and it's a pretty random revolution way. And so that's explained in a way or another. Why do we have so many languages? Another one is that humans are too lazy. For example, that have you ever learned English in class and your teacher told you when you want to ask about someone, tell him, how are you doing? Notice the sounds, how are you doing? And then you want to watch a movie and you have listened to the speaker said, how are you doing? Where are these languages went? Where have they disappeared? You see, this is because humans are lazy. They try to put less effort in the language as much as possible. And of course, there are many ways that affect the language. I will not go for all of them. Lastly, the beauty of a language. Maria said, the beauty of a language is when understand a word that couldn't be translated to another language. And I personally agree with that a lot. Sometimes I hear an English song or a poem in English, and I try to translate it to my friends. Yes, I can translate the words, the sentence, but I can't translate the meaning. I see myself stand incapable of doing that. And the only person between them who can understand and feel it and touch me deep inside. And so that's the beauty of a language from my personal point of view. Of course, you can view the beauty of a language in every way. Language is an important part of our everyday life. It's a huge part of our identity. Don't leave it. Learn it and teach it to the next generations. Especially the Arabic language. It's a beautiful language. It's an amazing language. And once Ahmed Shawqi said, "أن الذي ملأ اللغات محاسنا جعل الجمال وسره بالظاهر." Thank you very much.